And welcome back to another episode of Massholes with Mics. And as the title suggests, we have a bunch of different things that we have to get to in this recording. We're going to talk about the Patriots. We're going to talk about them holding on to the number one seed with their win over the Bills. We're going to go over our 10 questions. And then, unfortunately, it is a bit of a farewell show, at least for a while. But we will get to that a little bit later. We have to start with the Patriots' 14-10 win in Buffalo over Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, and the Buffalo Bills, improving their record to 9-4 and holding on to sole possession of the number one seed in the AFC. They will be holding it by the time they face the Colts next Saturday night because they actually have a bye week coming up, and then they will be facing the Colts, who are coming off of their bye week as well. But we're not here to talk about Indy. We're here to talk about Buffalo. 14-10 win, as I said, and we are going to start as we always do with 3 up and 3 down. So with that being said, let's start with the downs first. Does anybody have the urge to begin? Jordan, you want to start here.
That guy right there. That guy right there.
I'm so impressed that he did it.
It's honestly like it's one play. It's one play. And the game was ugly itself. Like it's really hard to pick 3 specific downs because like the game plan itself just didn't set up for receivers to make an impact. And he blocked really well, but he set up the only touchdown for Buffalo. Like, get out of the way, man. Like those are the kind of plays that have like hampered his career a lot. He's involved in every fluky play and it never goes his way. But get the hell out of the way, dude. Like, what are you doing?
I was about to say, I think can we just get a show of hands here for the YouTube people? Did we all have N'Keal Harry on our downs? Yeah? Yes. Kyle, you did too? Okay. So,
like,
just
sorta.
very quickly.
I mean, I still thought he did a pretty good job blocking, and I kind of felt bad. I mean, he pretty much, he's not going to get any credit for that solid blocking performance just because he made arguably the biggest mistake of the game.
It's almost like he washed his own performance out because he was huge on that block that set up the long Damien Harris touchdown run. On that, he basically sealed the edge on the left side, but then takes a punt off the ground to the face. Well, it was really kind of nicked his face mask, but then obviously recovered by Buffalo. I think Jalen Mills got toasted on that next play, but
Yep.
But
I think there are fair criticisms when it comes to the coaching staff for putting him out there in that situation, but he still deserves a fair amount of blame for still managing to screw it up royally and get it to hit his helmet.
I jokingly called him Chris
get
Harper
away.
before the
As
game.
soon as you try and bounce and you don't get it, just like go down, go in the fetal position and just hope the thing doesn't hit you. Instead, he's just kind of like wandering over to the ball a little bit more, and he was falling while he was doing it. I get that, but your momentum should not even be going towards the ball. Just get away, get down.
And I think the other problem is the fact that there's no way he didn't know it hit him. Like he had to have known that it hit him. So the fact that he didn't then immediately try to make a play for the ball is an issue.
He's trying to like block a guy for some reason.
It's giving me like Yohan Moncada not running on like a fly ball with 2 outs vibes. Like it's one of those like, dude, like isn't this something that we're supposed to know? Like you've been playing this game for how long? Like that's what you do in that situation.
The only difference is Moncada was a rookie when that happened in 2016. This is what N'Keal's 3rd year in the league.
Yeah. It's inexcusable at this point. Jaclyn, I saw your hand raised as well. We went to Jordan first, but you can go second here.
Yeah, mine was going to be Harry, but now I feel like there weren't too many downs in this game. This game was kind of a clunker. If you put it mostly because of the weather, I guess the weather can be my down, although I do have a player. So we'll talk about the weather later, but Matthew Judon really wasn't as big of an impact as I thought that he has been in previous weeks. Maybe that was due to the weather, but he also had that pre-snap penalty that, I mean, just penalties in general, you're not trying to get from one of your star linebackers. So it's just, I kind of expected a bigger game, but also, I mean, I think that we're expecting so much from him at every game even when he has like just a fine game where like he's down because he's been so dynamic over the past few weeks.
He punished Josh Allen on a quarterback hit at one point. Allen was a little slow to get up. He cleaned up on a sack that he didn't really create. I'm pretty sure Allen just kind of ran into his lineman and Judon cleaned up the loose change. But other than that, I agree. He was kind of a no-show in the grand scheme of things. I thought other players, and we'll get to the ups later, did a better job at his position. Kyle, do you have any other downs that you want to talk about?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I guess I could say, I would argue maybe the 4th quarter play calling was an issue for me because, like, obviously we were complaining during the game about them running the ball.
They doubled or tripled their amount of pass attempts in that quarter.
That's the problem.
But obviously we were complaining about the way they were running the ball the whole game. Well, I was, you weren't, but
I was not.
It made sense, but after that first play they ran with Stevenson I think it was like the opening play of the fourth quarter, where he just got absolutely blown up at the line, the entire Bills team was in his face before he even got the ball. I don't know how they ran another run play again, especially when you had the wind at your back. Like, you tried to make it so you could pass the ball in the fourth quarter. And sure, they ended up getting a field goal, but then the next play, they ran the exact same play. The Bills absolutely crushed them, and they lost more yards. It was one of those, all right, come on, what are we doing here? Yeah, I didn't realize, exactly. They know what they're going to do. They know what they're going to do at this point. So, I feel like that's the time to kind of mix it up a little bit, or at least, I don't know how you don't work, play action into that game plan, once.
At all.
Once.
No, they did, and then they threw to that Aguilar on that right sideline. It's so easy to remember his pass attempts. There were only 3 of them. That was a play action. It was a bootleg, and everyone was like, oh, they're throwing it. And then he just puts it right in Aguilar's ankles.
I also was mad about that play because I had Stevenson to score a touchdown as a bet, and it looked great up until those 2 run plays, and I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah. So I have a couple of downs here. I'm going to start with the player, Hunter Henry. I didn't really notice a whole lot from him. So ESPN likes to do the thing where they like to put the personnel that are on the field that aren't the offensive line and the quarterback, whether it be skill position players, who's on the field. They like to put that on the bottom of the score ticker as the game is going on for each play. And
which I
noticed
love.
That's
my only thing about the ESPN broadcast I enjoy.
I agree. But they had a lot of Jonnu Smith in there. It was almost always 81 Smith. Not a lot of Hunter Henry. He only played 15 snaps yesterday, and he wasn't particularly impactful because I can't remember him being out there. They went a lot of heavy personnel in a run-dominant game where you need your tight ends to block and you bring in the jumbo offensive linemen. The fact that Hunter Henry couldn't break into the team for that, I mean, it's not ideal. Obviously, I know his job is to catch touchdowns at the end of the day, but you still want a little bit of versatility from your tight ends. I mean, they're bigger than everyone else on the field for a reason. They should be able to block a little bit better. Does anyone else have any other major downs they want to get to before I go? Okay, Jaclyn?
Mine is off of the Hunter Henry point. Do you think that maybe he wasn't worked into the game plan as much because his wife is pregnant and expecting soon? Because he said that he would miss a game for the birth of his child, obviously. And so I'm wondering if maybe that had something to do with it. Because he was asked that recently in a press conference. So maybe that is why. But I honestly don't know how far along she is. I just tried to look it up, but
they may have. I mean, if she's close, they may have literally designed the game plan without him, and then he just happened to be there, and they're like, "We'll use him. We'll put him out there for a little bit."
They did a gender reveal July 1st.
So she's got to be knocking on the door. She's got to be knocking on the door at this point.
Yeah. So that maybe that's honestly why. But just a thought.
Okay. In terms of other downs, Jordan, you want to go here?
Dante Hightower is so slow. It's really starting to concern me, and this is going to foreshadow into the 10 questions when we go into it. But that horse collar penalty, inexcusable. I know it might have been a little ticky-tack. His hand was just barely inside the collar, but he's so slow. He gets manhandled a lot when he's trying to tackle somebody, and that penalty was it was bad. I know it only ended up being a 6-yard penalty because they were at the 12, but still. Inexcusable penalty from a veteran, especially a captain on your defense.
Another down that I had real quick is Sean McDermott. Dude, what a hard-o clown you are.
What a weird time to bring up the other team.
We all saw the press. Well, I mean, he was a down for his team. We all saw the press conferences after the game. I wonder if it just gets in his head when he faces Belichick, and then his team kind of responds to that because they feed off their head coach. And, Belichick, very steadying presence, doesn't really show a whole lot of emotion. Sean McDermott was animated basically from the jump, and I think his biggest mistake came even before the game started. If you guys remember, Mike Reese tweeted out the Patriots have lost the toss and the Bills have elected to defer. I didn't know this, but apparently you don't have to say whether you're going to receive or defer. You can choose the wind direction, and in a game like that, with the weather, with the conditions being the way that they are. We saw Jake Bailey punt the ball, I think, 19 yards, even though it looked like it was going to be a bomb. You need to take the wind in the fourth quarter. If you think it's going to be a close game, take the wind at your back. Because guess what the difference in the game was? Nick Folk hit his field goal at the start of the fourth quarter on that drive that Kyle mentioned where Ramondre Stevenson got stuffed. Nick Folk makes the field goal to go up 14-10, and because the Bills have to go into the win, Josh Allen takes a brutal sack on 2nd and goal after the Hightower horse collar penalty, and Tyler Bass misses the ensuing kick into the wind. That was the difference in the game, because then they could have kicked it again at the end of the game to win it. Sean McDermott, what are you doing? You're also a hardo. I don't like you at all, and I was very happy to see him mad after the game. But the hypocrisy, I mean, we all saw it. The return comment about Harry, I think he said, let's not give Bill Belichick too much credit when after beating Cam Newton and company last year, he said, I'm going to enjoy this one. I'm going to go home, eat dinner with my family, and enjoy this one for a couple of nights. And then the Patriots just came back into Buffalo this year and beat them. Yeah, so let's move on to the ups. Enough negativity. Let's go to the positive stuff. Kyle, I'm going to let you lead on this one. Who was your number one up?
Jakob Johnson. That man.
German Moose shout out.
That
Derrick
man
Henry
had an
Light.
absolute Derrick Henry Light had an absolute monster performance. I mean, you want to talk about N'Keal Harry's block on the Damian Harris touchdown. Jakob Johnson is the guy who threw the great block there. There was a guy who was literally about to jump onto Harris, and Johnson planted him. That was one of his best games ever, and he's really turned out to be like a pretty solid player. He's starting to look a lot more like, I'd say, more James Devlin light. You know, a guy that you can really depend on to make that key block when you need it in the run game. And I mean, that was a game that they were going to rely on him a lot, obviously, blocking. I'm kind of surprised he didn't even get a carry in that game. I feel like, you know,
Nice little fullback dive.
Yeah, the way the game was setting up, it wouldn't surprise me to line up in the eye and give it to him instead.
Seriously,
why not? But overall, no. I thought that was it the German Moose is what you call him, Jeremy?
Yep, or the German Fringe, either one.
I think he probably had one of the best games of his career last night.
Yeah, he definitely gave Damian Harris like two really, really solid lanes to pick. Micah Hyde took one, and Harris wisely took the other, obviously, and he ended up going basically untouched for 64 yards. Like, what's Micah Hyde doing there? But Jakob Johnson threw an unbelievable block there.
All right, Jaclyn, one of your ups, please.
Nick Folk. I just thought that he played a very good game, and with the wind being the way that it was, I was shocked that he made as many field goals as he did.
Did you guys know that he attempted 3 kickoffs in this game?
Yeah,
he was the one kicking the ball off instead of Bailey.
Yeah, he's been doing that a lot.
I didn't
lately.
know that until today. I found that out, and I'm like, that's weird.
Has he been doing that a lot? I don't
yeah,
think
when they're trying to like cradle corner somebody, basically they like kick it to basically the goal line right on one of the pylons, and they let it
go out of bounds.
No, they pin somebody inside the 15. That's basically what they've been doing. I've seen folk do it a lot the last like 3 or 4 weeks.
I honestly hadn't noticed it, so when that was pointed out to me, I was pretty surprised. But I
just learned of it.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. And as Jaclyn said, him making those kicks was big. I going into those conditions, like, yeah, he's played in the Meadowlands, but I think he said this was the worst conditions of his career because I watched part of his presser after the game. It was the worst kicking conditions he's ever been in, and he made 2 big kicks. Kyle?
Has anyone ever quite had a career resurgence like Nick Folk? Like,
no, it's like Cordero Patterson, but older.
Like, this guy was pretty not like irrelevant, but like he was a pretty mid-tier kicker for most of his career. And even in his first year here, he was like, okay.
They didn't attempt him outside of like 45.
He was fine. Last year he was solid. This year, I mean, he's been arguably one of the best and most consistent players on the team. I mean, he's one of the
he's the NFL's leading scorer.
I'm sure. Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure he's still the NFL's leading scorer. He's one of the best, like, most valuable players you could have on your fantasy team. I lost to a kid in fantasy this year because Nick Folk got 18 points. I'm like, okay. Like, it was a game against the Falcons. I was like, go figure. A game that they have to kick 5 field goals. Of course, it's the week that I have to face him. But no, I mean, he's literally looking like prime Gostowski and prime Vinatieri out there. He literally, like, he turned into the greatest kicker of all time this season for some reason, and we got to give him credit for that.
Agreed.
Nick Folk is was the kicker on the Bucs. Remember when the Patriots played Tampa Bay on Thursday Night Football a few years ago?
The All-Whites.
And Folk shanked that, like, chip shot field goal. Tony Romo was like, this just can't keep happening. Like, that was Nick Folk.
Yeah.
When I went back and now fast forward, and I'm like, yes, it's got to keep happening. Like,
rewind to the beginning of the season when everyone was saying Folk was going to be out of a job because of Nordine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look how we responded to that.
All right, Jordan, one of your ups, and then maybe we'll go one more time around.
Miles Bryant, I think, had the best game of his NFL career on Monday night.
He got railroaded, too.
He did. 93. Yeah, he got completely gypped out of a very, very legal hit on Josh Allen. It was still in bounds, didn't establish himself out of bounds. He's in midair extending for the first. And Miles Bryant, I'm gonna give him props for clocking Josh Allen in midair there. That's phenomenal football, and Bill Belichick was rightfully pissed off, as was Miles Bryant. But then also had the PBU as was Jeremy, as was Jordan, as was Brooke. I'm assuming as was the other two, you two. He also had the PBU at the end of the game, which was honestly a great play because he was covering somebody else, and then he peeled off because he saw Allen glued to I don't even remember who the receiver was. It might be Gabriel Davis. Yeah, and he peeled off and made a hell of a play. It probably wouldn't have been completed anyway, but still, hell of a play. Way to make sure it didn't have a chance. He was awesome. He's been such a great pickup for the team this year. I know he's been on the practice squad. I don't know how he hasn't been signed by somebody, how he wasn't already on the 53-man roster for the entire season. He's been awesome. And
I thought he's played like a good amount in the last couple of weeks. Like,
he has.
I'm pretty sure he played against like the Browns and made some big plays as well.
He has. He's been really good. They've elevated him from the practice squad a few times.
Ever since Jonathan Jones went down, I think he's gotten an increased role, and he's really been excelling in it.
And they need to sign him to the 53-man for maybe even a couple of years. He's been awesome.
Seriously. And he had that pick last year against the Rams in that aforementioned Thursday night game that we were talking about pre-show.
He's been great.
My biggest up, Devon Godchow. I thought it was his best game as a Patriot. He was an absolute wagon on the interior of the defensive line. I mean, it was a running game. Josh Allen threw 30 times, but in those conditions, they had to try and pound the rock a little bit. And Godchow and some of those other guys, but specifically him, like, you really noticed him. He was coming up with these one-man tackles where he would just bench press the line off of him, the lineman off of him, and tackle whoever was coming at him. Full props, because I thought out of the free agent class that they had signed, he had probably made the least amount of impact, unless I'm missing somebody obvious, outside of, the re-signing of Dietrich Wise. But props to you, Godchow. You showed up, and that was really good to see. It's encouraging for the Patriots' run defense going forward. If he can continue to do something even close to that, would be very beneficial. Quickly, let's go one more time around. If anyone has any ups that they want to spotlight with a sentence or two. Jaclyn, you got none. Kyle, you want to go here?
Damian Harris, obviously, ripping off that big touchdown run, and then coming back in after being injured, and then ripping off another great run. He's
on
literally
one leg.
his limp was like a little hezzy move. Like, it actually, like, him limping on the field, like, made the defender kind of bite, and that actually helped him get more yards. So a very impressive play, and thankfully there's a bye week, so hopefully that whatever's wrong with him isn't too serious. He also gets an up because the fact that he was hurt allowed Stevenson to rush a lot, which I enjoyed.
Jordan.
Bill Belichick. Like, that
you
man,
took mine!
When he saw the weather, that man started drooling. Like, come on.
Sure.
He's been wanting to run this 1945 Army offense for decades, and he finally got to do it.
The offense his dad ran, basically.
Basically. 45 rushing attempts to 3 pass attempts. People think that this is an indictment on how he thinks about Mac Jones. I think it's the opposite. I think he was like, this was an indictment on what he thought of Sean McDermott. He's like, prove to me that I don't have...
Allen.
Yeah, and maybe not Josh Allen, but definitely McDermott.
I think it was Josh Allen. I don't think he thinks Josh Allen is all that good.
Maybe. But regardless, I think he basically looked at the weather and he said, prove to me I have to throw the ball to beat you. They threw 3 times the entire game. The entire game they threw 3 times and they won. And I know, and obviously I think Steve Belichick's getting a lot of credit lately for the defense. I'm sure he deserves some of it, but Bill definitely has his fingerprints all over the defensive game plan. That man has been an absolute legend this year. He has re-cemented his legacy as, like...
We'll get to that.
People
we'll get
thought
to
he
that.
might have
Hang on that thought real quick. Yeah, because that's going to be the main talking point for the general analysis part. Kyle, do you have something on Belichick, or can I just go really quick?
I mean, I was just going to say, like, it just shows, like, just how good this team's damn running offense is. I mean, the Bills could not, like... The Bills knew what they were going to do. Like, there were no surprises. No indication that they were even going to run play action at any point. And they were, up until the fourth quarter, they were still ripping off. Like, Stevenson was getting, 8, 9, 10, 12 yards per rush at times. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, and like I said, in, 10 seconds. We will get to that. I just want to quickly spotlight the linebackers. I think the reason Josh Allen didn't have as many design runs was because of A, gap integrity. I know Matthew Judon deservedly was a down because he let Josh Allen escape to the right at least once for a big gain. Kyle Van Noy was a lot better at that. There was specifically one play that I remember where Josh Allen tries to scramble to the right, and Van Noy just doesn't let him, and he eventually, I think, takes a sack or he gets like 2 yards on a little keeper up the middle. But I personally think that I know Dante Hightower is slow, Jordan, but the size of Hightower, Bentley, and Van Noy in the middle, and Collins as well, may have deterred the Bills from trying to rush with Josh Allen. Because I think the first rush that he had, he took a big hit across the middle from somebody. And I think it may have scared them. I didn't think that they wanted to do it for the rest of the game. And guess what? It came back to bite them because I think that they could have used a couple more designed Josh Allen runs. He's so dangerous in space and they didn't want to do it. Maybe the Patriots linebackers were a factor there. But I do want to get onto the... Yep.
Jamie Collins has a very underrated performance from Monday night. I don't know what his snap count was, but he had a handful of plays where I'm like, there's Jamie Collins. And he drew what should have been a hold on another Allen keeper. It might have been a scramble for a throw, and then he chucked it away. I don't know. But Jamie Collins had a pretty good game, especially since it's his first coming back from IR. He looked pretty good.
So we do have to get to the Bill Belichick point. I know that we kind of touched on it maybe a minute ago or so, but I do want to kind of expand on that. And specifically, as Jordan said, 3 pass attempts. And in my opinion, they could have thrown it more, but I know why they didn't. And it wasn't because they didn't trust Mac Jones. It wasn't because they didn't trust Sean McDermott to try and counter it. It was because I think Bill wanted to make a point saying, I really don't need a quarterback to go and win this game. Because if they put Brian Hoyer under center on Monday night, they probably win too. Because I think Mac Jones' farthest pass attempt was like 10 yards. I think Belichick, little vain, let's be honest, we kind of know it. He's got an ego. I think he wanted to prove to the rest of the league, I can do this with just a running game.
Yeah.
And when you know what I'm going to do. And I think it was PFT actually tweeted out at one point, PFT commenter goes, if they come back and win this game, this was pre-fourth quarter, Belichick, if they hold on, Belichick is going to be mad about that one pass because it's going to ruin his masterclass. He could have had all runs if he wanted to, which I thought was pretty funny. But I think we can all agree that, guess what? Bill Belichick is back. And I think in the court of public opinion, not just Patriots fans, he is back. And I think that the ceiling is fill in the blank, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. I'm just kind of teasing the 10 questions on that. I guess reactions to Bill Belichick's game plan and maybe just your overall impression of him this year. I know we've already kind of touched on it, but let's elaborate just a little bit more before we move on. Jaclyn?
Yeah, so at first I was a little, annoyed that they were only running the ball, but then, once it was working, I was like, okay, this is fine, thanks, Bill. But overall, I feel like I have always been in the camp of in Bill we trust. It's just the way that my dad always was too, in Bill we trust. And so just getting that trust back with wins is the icing on the cake this season. And being back in the number 1 seed in the entire AFC is also the icing on the cake. And I think that it, like I said, just proves that Bill Belichick always has a plan, and he will execute it always, except for last season.
I know that we were talking about the Patriots just lining up, knowing that they were going to run the ball, and they weren't able to stop it. And some of that's an indictment on, again, something that happened even before the game started, roster construction. Guess what? Bill Belichick has constructed a roster, because let's face it, he is the GM, that is able to go and win in multiple different ways. How many times do they line up with 6 linemen on Monday night? Mike Onwenu
61% of snaps.
It was the highest percentage in the last 4 seasons for any team, if I'm not mistaken, right? Something like that. It was some insane number. He can go and win like that. He might be able to win throwing. It's not necessarily going to be a shootout. You're not asking Mac Jones to throw 51 times, but he can win throwing the ball too if he needed to. The roster is built in such a way that the Bills don't have anyone to go and stop the run. If you guys notice, they're running in with undersized defensive ends. I heard Greg Bedard talking about this, and he's the one that does all the film study, not me. But he does talk about, guess what? If you're going to line up in base personnel and the Patriots are going to bring in a living tank of an offensive line, you are going to get bowled over in the run game, and that's exactly what happened. The Bills got punished up front, both offensively and defensively, all night long. Because I felt when the Patriots needed it, that more often than not, they were able to get pressure, and when they didn't, Josh Allen was trying to uncork one deep, and the wind would either take it or Dawson Knox would drop it. So that was basically the game plan in a nutshell. And this is Bill Belichick's team. Make no mistake about it. This is the way that he likes to win. Run, play solid defense, and quarterback doesn't make too many mistakes. And he made, one incompletion. That was his big mistake Monday night.
He did get bailed out on the first completion, though. That was an awful pass.
He did a hell of a catch by Jonnu.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know, Jordan, Kyle, I know you guys did touch on Belichick. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I mean, I was just going to say that I think that it just shows that Belichick, the coach, was always still there. I think last year it just had to do with the fact that he didn't have a roster that can execute his game plan. And that's why they went out and they opened up the purse and they brought in as many people as they could and spent all that money because Belichick's like, you know what? No. I need people that can execute my darn game plans. Like, I need people that are going to be able to do what I need them to do. Like, I cannot have my number one wide receiver be Demir Bird. I cannot have, I can't have my O-line. I don't even remember who was on the O-line last year, but, go get me Trent Brown. Go get
Tremaine Illuminor.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no. Well, who was the swinging gate tackle that we would make fun of a lot? It wasn't Marshall Newhouse because that was 2 years ago. Who was the right tackle that took over for Illuminor? I can't remember now.
Oh.
It'll come to
Justin
me.
Haran?
No.
The hero?
It'll come to me. You keep talking, Kyle. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. I mean, I just didn't remember, but it's one of those things where he went out, he got guys he knew that could execute his game plan, and it's showing that he never really was gone. He was always here. He just needed the facilities to do that,
No, I guess it was Onwenu who was the right tackle. I was maybe thinking of Newhouse, but then I just went through the 2020 Patriots roster. Their starters, I'm just going to read the offense only. Cam Newton, Damian Harris, Jakob Johnson, Demir Bird, N'Keal Harry, Ryan Izzo, and then Win Tooney, Andrews Mason, and Onwenu. I just forgot about Ryan Izzo, and that popped right back into my head, and I kind of want to push it right back out again. All right, let's move on, and let's do 10 questions here. Little bit of a nostalgic one to end, but we're going to start football for the most part. So, little bit of an overarching question because guess what? We got to cover as many topics as possible since this is kind of going to be our last show for a while. Jaclyn, you get to start on question 1. Who is your MVP favorite?
Tom Brady. It's got to be Tom Brady. That's all I'll say. It's got to be Tom Brady right now. I haven't seen anyone else who's playing like him.
Kyle.
Kirk Cousins is having an MVP caliber season.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's
not.
I didn't even realize it until he is what I think 25-3. What? When's the last time someone had 25-3 and was not in the MVP conversation?
And he's not even close because his team is just so.
Has there ever been a Vikings quarterback that's been that good in the last decade?
No, maybe Keenum that one year, but he had more picks than that for sure.
And for my real answer, it's got to be Brady. I mean, it would have been Kyler if he wasn't hurt for so long, but that long gap is. I mean, he's shown that he's not really missing much, but he can't step right back in and had a great week. But Brady's just been so damn good this year.
Jordan,
speaking it into existence, Jonathan Taylor leading the NFL in rushing attempts, touches, yards, and touchdowns. He got 18 touchdowns this year. Between rushing and receiving. I know 5 of them came against Buffalo, but
I hope that's right, but I don't.
I've been big on the bandwagon the last 3 years, as you guys would know if you went back to listen to all our shows about. I want a running back to win the damn MVP award. I've been doing this for 3 years, and that's what I'm speaking into existence. Realistically, I think it'll be Brady, but if I had a vote, I'm giving it to Jonathan Taylor out of bias. I'm sorry.
Could have been Derrick Henry last year.
I saw a graphic this morning that was something along the lines of like, Kirk Cousins has more touchdowns than a bunch of guys, and then they went through the yards, but Kirk has basically been very underrated. No, my pick is Brady, too, because it's a quarterback award. I would be very happy if Jonathan Taylor won it. I think too many guys have missed time with injury to make it at all realistic for anyone else other than Brady at this point, though.
Kyler was really the only person who had a chance.
Or Derrick Henry if he had been healthy.
Yeah.
But again, both of them hurt. It's just brutal. You can't do anything about it. Kyle, question number 2. Who should be the Steelers' next quarterback?
No. I honestly don't know. It's interesting. Like I need to think about where they're gonna be picking in the draft. I was thinking
right now they'd be 18th. They'd be 18th pick right now.
Like I don't know. I haven't done a lot of research on which because I feel like they have to draft a quarterback this year. Like they're not gonna use like Dwayne Haskins. I'm not sure who's gonna be a free agent, but
Jameis.
I wouldn't be Jameis, man, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make some sort of a trade for like maybe Matt Ryan or something. get Matt Ryan out of and then the Falcons who stink maybe take the kid out of Liberty. That would be pretty fun. But
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. I can never remember if it's Malik Lewis or Malik Willis, but it's Malik Willis.
I got you.
Maybe they also take. I don't know if he's declared for the draft or not, but Sam Howell from UNC. Would maybe
he's a
be
senior, and he didn't have a ton of weapons this year, so he probably will declare. Jordan.
I think they need to revamp the entire room. Goodbye, Big Ben. Goodbye, Mason Rudolph. Goodbye, Dwayne Haskins.
The all-problematic room.
Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, jeez.
Andy Dalton as well as a veteran. and draft a project quarterback, someone like Desmond Ridder, or maybe even trade up and go after Kenny Pickett or someone like that. They need to revamp that room. I said this when we were
Pickett
texting.
Is my answer.
I said this in a group chat that we're in, that the Steelers might have the biggest loser quarterback room of all time.
That's so fair.
They all suck as humans. They all suck as quarterbacks. They need to revamp that room because the culture in that locker room must suck. And Mike Tomlin's a much better coach than I think he gets credit for a lot of the time. And I know he's probably, losing his mind, pulling the remainder of his hair out every night when he goes home and realizes that that's his quarterback room.
I mean, I just feel bad for him. He keeps getting stuck with just, the worst, scumbags, head cases. He's a good coach. He does not deserve that.
He's sitting there. He's like, Big Ben, can you just retire already? You've been washed for 4 years.
It's like, Chase Claypool,
coach in
stop.
college or something.
It's like,
we're down 30.
Chase Claypool, stop making a TikTok. We're trying to practice.
Seriously,
he's like a babysitter and a coach full time.
And before he had Bell and Brown, too. Let's not forget about that. My answer was Pickett. I'm sorry, Davis. Pitt quarterback, going to be second in the Heisman voting, and if I had a vote. I think he's probably going to – he's pulled a Burrow where he's kind of projected himself into a first-round pick status. The problem was he was at Pitt, so it wasn't like he was going to go and compete for the playoff. But, yeah, Pickett. Kenny Pickett. Pittsburgh's own. He already plays in Heinz Field for his home games. Just transfer him over to the black and yellow.
It's honestly too easy of a pick for them. I feel like because even if he's bad, people are still going to love the pick.
And they've probably been able to do a bunch of scouting on him because he's in their backyard.
Exactly.
Jaclyn.
I said, you guys are going to laugh at me.
Matt Ryan. I heard someone say Matt Ryan.
Tom Brady.
That was me.
I said Mitchell Trubisky and a rookie.
Yes.
Because
he's got a better arm than Ben.
Mitchell Trubisky is if not awful, and he'd be with an actual competent coach. And
he does look semi-competent in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just needed a coach.
Limited action.
So that's why I'm just trade for Trubisky and then draft someone. And you won't need to move up in the draft if you have Trubisky. And even if he sucks, it's okay because you still have a quarterback.
Jordan, question number 3. After Sean McDermott's press conferences over the last couple of days, it's clear that he hates Belichick, and it really gets to him. What coach do you think Belichick hates the most? It could be current, it could be former.
As a current, it's probably either McDermott himself, because I think they low-key despise each other. McDermott more public about it, but I think Bill has zero respect for that little man, or Harbaugh.
I would be very happy if he hated Harbaugh. My 2 answers were one current, one former. I think he hates Arians because of the way Brady's really propped him up and tried to make him seem like the good old boy after he left Belichick. And then Jeff Fisher. There's a reason you run up the score 59-0 on the Tennessee Titans in the middle of a blizzard, and it's because you hate Jeff Fisher. Jaclyn.
I said Sean McDermott. It's your closest thing to a rivalry you've had in a while. So.
Kyle.
Don Shula.
That's a really good one. That's a great
Definitely
answer.
hates that guy because Shula hated him.
Yeah, Shula loathes Belichick. For those who don't know,
definitely does not like him.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, question number 4, and I get to start on this one. Who's the worst rookie head coach? And I'm actually going to go one relative to expectations because I think despite Trevor Lawrence going to the Jaguars, we all thought they were still going to suck. I'm going to take Arthur Smith and the Falcons. He has really underachieved with the weapons that he has been given. Let's face it, Cordero Patterson's had a reawakening, but Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, who then, I understand that he's on medical leave now, but he didn't wow you before he took a personal leave as well. And then, Zacchaeus, you have Russell Gage. Atlanta's known for churning out good offenses. It seems like he wants, and we saw him on a couple Thursday nights ago. It seemed like he was running the ball like he still thought he had Derrick Henry with him. 4th and 1, you're going to run the ball in short instead of quarterback sneaking it like you think you have Derrick Henry to go and plow through the line. You don't have him anymore, Arthur. You're not in Nashville.
Derrick Henry's not walking through that door.
Seriously, he's really underwhelmed me as I'm not necessarily, I don't love the Falcons, but I kind of take pity on them, and they've really, really underwhelmed as per usual this year. Jaclyn.
How did you not say Urban Meyer? He has been
because I knew you guys would, so I just want to spotlight someone else.
He is in a PR nightmare, and he has won 1 game, 2 games, 1 game. Horrible. 2 games.
2, I think.
Deuce.
I think 2, yeah.
2 games.
One of them is against the Bills.
Yeah, no, it's 2 because the Lions only have 1 win. That's why.
Oh, true.
And ironically, their other win was against the Dolphins in London. Kyle.
For me, I had Arthur Smith as well. But I guess I guess I'm stick with Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
Only just because, like, I feel like the Falcons are just, like, they're just so irrelevant.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like we love to crap on Urban Meyer because, like, you know, they've just been kind of just, like, crazy over there and there's been so many news stories. But, like, have you really heard anything about the Falcons this year? Like, they had a great draft. Kyle Pitts is a fantastic talent, but it just seems like they just can't get anything done. And I did want to say, though, because I thought you were going to say Dan Campbell for this, and I'm glad that you didn't, because I think that Dan Campbell, I've completely flipped the script on him. I think that he's a great players coach, and I also think, you look back on this season, the Lions may be the best 1-win team ever. They do not deserve to be a 1-win team. They have shot themselves in the foot so many times in close games. They should have at least 5 wins at this point. They could theoretically be 2-0 against the Vikings.
No, Dan Campbell sucks. I hate him. Jordan.
I had Urban Meyer. I just think your inaugural season can't be labeled with controversy when you're that bad of a team as well. But
You're
just
right.
for sake of adding another name to the mix, Robert Saleh, like, that culture was supposed to be different in New York with him, or I guess New Jersey, but him going to the Jets. And I know that, you know, Zach Wilson looks like a biggie loser at quarterback, and that, like, a lot of guys were hurt. But the culture there, it looks like the same old Jets. Like, it's not like
He's also a defensive coach. He has Quentin Williams, he has C.J. Mosley,
and their defense is butt cheeks. Like, it's just there's no other way to put it other than it. I was actually very excited for the Jets signing Robert Saleh. I thought that was going to be a great hire, and they look like the same old Jets. And that it's probably more than a 1-year thing, but just for the sake of adding another name, it's not like he is, you know, giving us a lot of reason to believe that there's better days coming to East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. All right, question number 5. Man, I really wish I had stacked the order so Jordan started this one. Jaclyn, were we wrong about Tua Tagovailoa?
Like, yeah, but, like, no. Like, he's not going to be good in the league long term. Like, even though his stats are, like, getting better now, and I forget what the exact stat was, but he's, like, leading it for, like, 6 games in a row or whatever. He's not gonna be, like, he's gonna be out of the league in 5 years, unfortunately. That's just how
Kyle.
it's gonna be.
I don't think he'll be out of the league in 5 years. I think he'll find a way to stick around. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that we were wrong. I'd say that we were just definitely a little too hard on him. I think that, you know, we kind of indicted him pretty early into his career, and, you know, it takes time for some guys like this to develop. Who knows? Maybe not even this year, but, like, next year could be the year he makes a jump. You never really know.
Jordan, very interested to see this answer.
I said no. I don't think we're wrong on Tua. I think he's gotten hot in a cupcake schedule at this point. That being said, I do think he's better than, like, Jalen Hurts, but I think he'd be the second best. He's the second best QB from that Alabama room when it was Jalen and Mac Jones. I think he might be better than Jalen Hurts, but I don't necessarily think I was wrong about him. I just don't think he's all that good. I think he's nah.
Man,
I think Hurts
is
is still better.
He's a bottom tier.
I'm going to be
he's
the
a bottom tier starter.
Here. I think that we were wrong about him. I've been pleasantly surprised over the last couple of games. I think him and Waddle have a real connection that hopefully they can continue to develop because Waddle obviously being a rookie. I think Miami just really started slow out of the gate. They got lucky to beat the Patriots, and then they just kind of it felt like it took a while for them to get going, but this happened last year, if you remember. Do you remember when they were just starting? They started to pick it up, and then Tua and Fitzy were getting interchanged at quarterback, but they were winning games, and they were really making a push for that last wild card spot. Maybe Brian Flores just needs to learn how to get them into gear earlier in the season, because they look okay now. They're cleaning up the games that they should, so maybe it's just more of a mindset thing with this entire group of Dolphins, not necessarily Tua himself. That would be my take, I guess. Question number, what are we on, 6? 6. Kyle, you get to start. Give me your favorite non-Patriot in the NFL.
I mean, this is an easy question.
Yeah,
I feel like I don't even have to answer it. It's Kyler Murray, of course.
Yeah, we're going out. You know, we gotta get some last takes out there. I kind of approached
to say it in the voice of my favorite college football commentator, technically now NFL as well. Yeah. Kyler Murray, Gus Johnson.
Nice.
Oh man,
Jordan. Who is your favorite non-Patriot in the league?
Chris Godwin or Deebo Samuel, especially when I look at the Patriots and what I think that their offense could use. It's that.
You're gonna notice a common thread on mine. I went linebacker. I like Fred. I love Fred Warner on the Niners. I've said that multiple times. And then I think Eric Kendricks is the most underrated player in football, middle linebacker for the Vikings. Honorable mention for me, got to be Derrick Henry. That dude's electric to watch. Jaclyn.
Mine's pretty easy to guess as well. Mine is Justin Herbert. Yes, of course.
It's not Baker Mayfield.
No. I love him as a person. Would never want him on the Patriots.
He could be a.
That's awful big of you to say.
But
he can be a fan.
I'm a fan of Baker Mayfield. I love him, but I don't want him as the quarterback on the main team that I root for. I love his acting. Yeah,
he really
especially when he tries to play quarterback.
Yikes.
Oh, Jordan couldn't resist. He had to get one last one in there.
I'm like Bill Belichick looking at that weather. I'm like, yes.
He's setting Jaclyn up. He's got this. All right, Jordan. Question number 7. Sunday evening, I guess. So the Steelers and the Ravens were the 4:00 game. Ravens lost by 1 point after going for 2. Down late with about 12 seconds left, I believe, and Lamar Jackson's pass fell incomplete. So if you were John Harbaugh in that situation, are you kicking it or are you still going for it?
I'm still going for it. That throw was just garbage. I mean, his rationale was, I thought, pretty sound. I mean, Marlon Humphrey got hurt, and you're going to have to roll into overtime with a completely different dude playing cornerback for you, and everyone goes up a peg, and I don't think their offense was good enough to march down the field again. Go for 2, take the win, be aggressive. I like it. It's just a bad throw.
I will be taking a page out of Pat McAfee's book here. We're kicking it. We have to kick it. There is no excuse to not kick this football, and here's why. If you really don't trust your defense, I understand that they were out of cornerbacks. I get it. But it's Ben Roethlisberger on the other side. You have to get a stop against Ben Roethlisberger in overtime. You can do that. You're the Ravens. That's a stupid idea. Just send out the most automatic kicker in history to nail the extra point. Go and either you give Lamar the ball or you stop the sack of potatoes wearing number 7 in black and then just go down and score go down and score with Tucker again. Like it didn't seem that hard to me. Thought it was a dumb decision at the moment, and they rightfully had to pay for it. Jaclyn.
I say you still go for it. As someone who watched the Iron Bowl this year and really wish that Auburn would have gone for it instead, gone for 2 in the overtime. Yeah, that was in the overtime.
Yeah, first overtime.
The first overtime. I was like, was that the end of the game? Or was that at the first overtime? It was at one point. Why didn't they go for 2 then? This is me just ranting about Auburn, but like. Seriously, I think that if you have the chance to win it, then you win it against a rival. It's different when it's a rival. You want to try and win it. In this case, they failed, but I like the call.
Kyle, you gonna even it up here?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
I do agree with Harbaugh's logic, and I do agree with Jordan saying that it was just a bad throw. Like if that throw's on the mark, then they win that game. But for me, it's one of those, I agree with you. It's Ben. You can stop Ben Roethlisberger. You can figure that out. And then if you stop him, if you don't even get the ball, then all you have to do is just get into Justin Tucker's, 50 to 60-yard field goal range, and just have him boot one down, and you win the game. No, I mean, I would have kicked that, but I do understand, especially what Jaclyn said, that in games like that, you kind of just want to go for it. You want to go all the way to the wall and just, just go all out to get that win.
All right, super speed round, so that way we can get to the last question very quickly. So just give a name. Pick one defensive player to add to the Patriots. I'm going with T.J. Watt. Jaclyn.
Micah Parsons.
Ooh, interesting. Kyle.
Mine was Micah Parsons.
Wow. Okay, interesting. Jordan.
Devin White.
Okay, linebacker.
Darius Leonard.
Number 9, 5 words or less. How far can the Patriots go, Jaclyn?
Realistically, AFC Championship game.
All right, Kyle.
I agree. I don't think they win that game, but I think they could get there.
All right, too many words. Jordan.
AFC title game.
Super Bowl, baby.
Oh,
Let's
wow.
go. They could.
Duck
They
boats.
could do it.
Duck
more
boats,
home.
baby.
And if they get there, I want to
throw
face
some
the
homer
Packers.
picks out right at the end.
If they get there, I want to face the Packers and not the Bucks.
No,
I'll
I
say
want
it. I
face
would
the
welcome either
Bucks.
one. I want to
I
face
want
the Packers. Are you kidding me? The Patriots getting to vanquish Rodgers? Oh,
I want the
I'm gonna have
Lions.
That'd be
Looking to
cathartic for
vanquish
me.
the
Oh.
Bucks with Tom Brady, your former quarterback.
I want the
I'm gonna
Lions.
have alcohol on hand. I want the
Jaclyn, you know how much I hate both of these teams. I would still want the Packers. All right, here we go. Question number 10. This is what we all really came for. We did kind of touch on it earlier. This is going to be our last show for a while. Things have kind of cropped up. We are going to hope to kind of restart it at some point. There may be a new host. Maybe Jordan's going to be running the show next time we see you guys. But for now, we got to take a little bit of a break. So with that being said, we've all been here for a while. We started this freshman year for all of us. Kyle's been doing this for 5 years now. We've been doing it for about 4. What is your favorite show memory? And Kyle, being the elder statesman here, you actually get to lead.
Of course. This technically, I guess this counts as an offshoot of the original primetime radio show. So mine's gonna be one that it's actually not like a specific Massholes with Mike's one, but when Baker Mayfield made his debut, on I believe it was Thursday Night Football. We were in the studio. We have that clip somewhere. It's mostly just me just
I have it saved.
going crazy. I was like live commentating what was happening at the time. Like that was such a great moment in the studio because it was at like the end of the end of the episode ish that we were recording at the time, and to be there for that moment and having everyone there, it was fun. I will say, and then I have a second one that's kind of like a sneaky one, and I don't even know if I'm remembering it correctly, but we were recording, as we do, on Thursday nights. It was during the, I believe it was the Giants-Eagles game, when Daniel Jones took that massive spill. And we were just in the middle of recording, and, like, someone looked at it on their phone and just started, like, muted their mic and was just dying laughing. And then, like, they sent into the chat, and we were all just like we were trying not to say anything about it, and then I was like, I'm pretty sure it was me. I was like, guys, we need to talk about what just happened. We were just like, Daniel Jones
just eating it.
just took a spill of the century.
That was awesome. I forgot about that one.
time.
Thank you for bringing that one up. Jordan, go ahead.
So I have 2 as well, but I'm gonna say only one of them until Jeremy goes. I want to give him the chance to say it.
Thank you.
But our mustache bracket freshman year, but specifically the Joseph Stalin discourse that we got into.
You can't
Oh
read
my
this because
God.
it's not gonna show up on the camera. I literally wrote down Stalin mustache on my thing. That was the exact because that one was funny, and I can send Jaclyn. I don't know if I've sent you this clip again, but I've re-downloaded like the primetime
gosh.
moments a couple of times, and I've sent them back to the other guys here, and Pat as well. I think Sean may have heard it. I don't know, but I mean those old moments, man, they were so funny.
You just hear me, like, you guys are like, somebody mentioned Stalin. I think it was Sean, and somebody starts talking after that, and you just hear me go in the back, just Stalin.
Did you just say Joseph
Jeez.
Stalin? and Jaclyn was present for that one. I think it was me, Jaclyn, Sean, and Jordan, and maybe Pat. But I was definitely us 4 because I could hear all 4 of us on that clip. In terms of my favorite moments, geez, there are so many to pick from. I'm going to go with, I'm going to let Jaclyn take the one. If she remembers it, she should be able to describe this moment well. So I'm going to leave it to her because I know Jordan's thinking of it too.
I remember it.
I'm going to go with Kyle when our former boss decided to talk about beauty pageants. And Kyle decided to equate it to sports and go, oh, yes, what is her world peace above replacement? Oh, my goodness. It was the funniest thing of all time.
I just remember
was dying.
the way that he said it, I don't know why we were talking about them.
Wait.
We were like,
he was
like,
no, because he goes like, none of you guys like the beauty pageants things? I love them. And we're like, no, not at all.
Well, what the setup I was like, how does one like, how does one win like that? And Sam said, he was like, oh, she said she wanted world peace better than everyone else. And I was like, oh, like, what's her war? Or something like that. And no one said anything. And it was like kind of silent. I just went, her world peace above replacements.
And then finally, the other one that I want to talk about quickly is a moment with only me and Kyle out of the four of us here, but we also had Pat and Davis. Kyle, do you remember the moments of the decade bracket that we did in the studio at the very end of 2019? Davis.
that whole month. That whole month in March was fantastic.
No. This was in December. This was Davis's last show.
Oh,
we ended it on the bracket episode because he went to LA the next semester. So we got that. The brackets itself were very fun, but this one was specifically a moments of the decade, and we got to go back and relive some of the great sports moments of the 2010s. I loved that.
I think I still have that list.
I hope you do, because I've been trying to find it lately, and I can't find it, and I'm very disappointed because I loved building that bracket.
Was it a bracket or
it absolutely
was it a list?
No, it was a bracket because the one that won was the Malcolm Butler interception, and it beat Chris Jenkins' shot over UNC because Pat and Davis played college football, and me and Kyle took the Malcolm Butler pick, and we flipped the coin to see who would win because none of us would budge. It was pretty funny.
Naturally.
All right, Jaclyn, what do you got?
So I think the one that Jeremy was referring to was when me and Sean got in a fight on the show because we were talking about. Oh.
No, keep going with this one, though. I don't remember this one.
So we were talking about our hot takes for food. I love how, none of these have to do with sports.
Oh, yes!
And so,
yes, this is a great one.
And so I forgot about that until just now. But me and Sean Facey literally got into, a screaming match because my hot take for food is that peanut butter toast with cheese is delicious.
Yeah,
she wants melted cheese.
We confirmed that night you are a serial killer.
But you put it in after it's toasted, but you only have to put it in for a little bit.
That one.
It's not like you're putting a whole piece of bread in the microwave and just defrosting it in the microwave. No.
This is a can of worms I didn't think we were going to go at. I didn't think this was a can of worms we were going to open up. I thought we were going to go the other direction that I will.
No, oh my gosh!
Yes.
We don't have to bring that up if Jaclyn doesn't want to do it.
It's okay.
We don't have
you
to.
Can bring it up.
That's why I said the other direction.
But also maybe not.
I was going to bring that up, but I guess I won't.
My other
No. We can talk. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off camera. Yeah, that's fine.
No, the one I was just going to bring up, I just remember the first time that I went into the studio, and I fully did not expect there to be, 7 people in the studio. It was,
we packed that thing.
The 4 of us, and then, Jeff and Sean and Pat. And I was just, so confused. I also thought the show was only 1 hour, and it was 2 hours, and I was so I, 9 rolled around, and I looked at Jordan, and I was like, how long is this show? He's like, it's 2 hours. I was like, what? So, but no, that was
we really
and
didn't
she
take
still
a lot
kept
of
coming back by some miracle.
I honestly
don't know
how or why I started to come back because our former boss kind of scared me a little. So that's why.
As he should. He scared me.
Yes.
And I probably could have sat on and squeezed the life out of him.
So that's why, I don't know. But luckily I
Jordan.
did.
More. No, I have 2 more because I'm surprised Jeremy didn't take this one. But I'm gonna
quickly
on Jaclyn's point about our former boss when Jeremy made that edit of Sam in the doorway behind me.
Yeah, it's behind Kyle, and it's just him standing there. Oh, actually, no, maybe you. Actually, I gotta go find that.
I think I was in the newsroom for it. But also the other one the one I'm surprised Jeremy didn't take was when he muted Jacob Albrecht's mic. I know I'm name dropping people, but hey.
Go for it.
I
enjoyed that moment immensely.
I had to leave the studio. I was crying in my hands. I was bawling my eyes out, laughing so hard. And I don't even know if he ever realized that he had been muted, but I passed away that night. It was hilarious.
So it if for context on that one, Kyle remembers the board. Jordan definitely does. I don't know if Jaclyn does because she never actually produced one of the shows, but there are the sliders that control the different mics. But it was the one on the right. So I was kind of like, I was leaning like this on my left elbow and listening to him talk, and I was getting very sick of it. So I just nonchalantly take my finger and flick it and just wing the slider all the way down, and he's talking, there's just nothing. And then it's just me and Jordan. You can kind of hear us muffled, just cackling, laughing. It is the funniest thing. And I turn it up very slowly. I go, okay, you can talk now. And he was like, oh, jeez. Yeah, Jaclyn?
I have one, and I don't remember which one of you said this, but I think that Jeremy said this. So I'm going to say it in the exact way that he said it. This headline is brought to you by Teresa's, 4 restaurant locations for different occasions. I'm Jordan Leandre, and these are your headlines on the half hour. But he fully said that he was Jordan.
I do remember.
I wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Me and Kyle have messed up more headline reads.
Well, I was gonna say,
we're not saying the one that he said.
Oh, come on! It's not that bad.
No. We'll talk about it after. I don't want to go through and edit the thing after.
You don't have to edit that out. It's
there was another one. If you guys remember us finding Pud Galvin,
yes.
First time we found him, that was a good one. Where
Jaclyn's cousin.
Sean just goes, I just found that he pitched 7,000 innings in 1 year, and we were all just like, excuse me? That makes no sense at all. He's like, oh, my bad, it says 700. No, it actually does say 7,000.
He's also the original, what was it called? PED user.
Yeah, the PED user.
My descendant.
He had a magical goat elixir, which just happened to be like HGH or something like that.
The goat elixir.
Why not?
I'm trying to think. There was one more that I wanted to bring up, but Jordan derailed me when he talked about me muting Albrecht because that was still so funny to me.
Him pronouncing Red Sox players' names was also pretty hysterical, like Zooey Lin and Rafael Devers.
Do you remember when we made Sam eat a Griddler's cheeseburger? And then me and Pat got to eat the fries in the producer's room after because everyone else was in the studio.
Yeah. That was a crime, honestly. Like, we thought we could have killed him.
And then we were going over it.
So healthy for so long.
The last one I want to bring up is that Pat was talking to Jaclyn at one point, and I actually have the clip of this. It's Jaclyn's going like, "Yeah, I've been trying to cut down on whatever, something like that," and Pat says something to the effect of, "You're on the Sam Gordon diet, Jaclyn. Jesus loves you. You don't have to do that." It was so funny. I could try and find that one later.
And then Jeremy just like photosynthesis.
Yeah, seriously. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
I mean, I'll say I just wish that we had taken more time to learn a lot of the technical stuff because I feel like we could have had like such a high quality, well produced broadcast, but at the same time, like it was damn fun. I mean, I still say to this day that, you know, I mean, obviously work on the radio now, but the college radio is just the goddamn best. Like, if I don't know if you're listening, if you're a high school student and you're going to college, or if you're in college right now, you have the chance to do it. Do it. You won't regret it. It's
so
fun. I did it. You
can talk about whatever you want.
I did it in 3 different capacities, and every time I did it, it was fantastic. Whether I was playing music, I was talking news, talking sports. It's just one of the best damn experiences you can have.
We've been doing this for 4 years now. Like we started in 5 years for Kyle, but the 4 of us have been working together on these for 4 years, and we started in the basement of the Anson building at Emerson, which I know I got ragged on for trying to make that a thing on an intro, which is another moment that I
what do you think you got?
Opening moment. No, it's the opening moment in that audio clip. I'm sending that again.
Live from the basement of the Anson building.
We were making fun of you because it sounded like you were saying like under the big top here at Barnum and Bailey Circus.
I was gonna say,
it was so
wait
funny.
a second, like wasn't that a thing that I did? Wasn't that how I always did the intro? That was how I would always intro.
There were a lot of shows freshman year where your throat was just so messed up and you were just kind of like croaking out stuff at the end when you had to cover for Sam because he missed a lot of shows midway through the end of that year because you were dealing with a cough of some sort. But that was funny.
No, that was junior year, I'm pretty sure, because that's when I had my smoker's cough.
Sam's senior year is what I meant. Did I say last year?
Yeah.
I don't remember. But anyway.
I don't remember, but...
All right.
But lastly, really quickly, sorry, just to finish my thought. We've been doing this for 4 years. We started this in the building of the basement of the Anson building. There was a whole ass global pandemic. I transferred across the country. I am in Arizona now.
And we Kyle graduated.
I became an adult. I became
Kyle graduated. You two are graduating. I became the baby of the group. It used to be Jeremy, but now even though he's still younger than me, obviously that couldn't change. But he's graduating.
You never know.
Little do you know.
That is true. That is true. I never know. But
science is a magical thing.
We went through leaps and bounds to somehow still find 1 to 2 days a week that we could record. So to the point Kyle said about getting involved in radio in college, if you're even semi interested in it, do it, because you meet a bunch of people, you experience things, you can find new passions. I was dead set on writing when I got into college, and now I'm like, please put me on the radio. I'm much better at that. And it's just,
isn't it nice to hear yourself talk?
It is. It is. And I learned I'm pretty damn good at it too. So it's like, if you're even semi interested in doing this, I strongly recommend it, especially if you're an introvert like I am.
And to all the girls out there, you can do it too. I didn't think I was gonna last as in part of this very male dominated newsroom that we had, but somehow I prevailed, and it was mostly because I had amazing castmates. But no, it's true though. It's true. Lots of girls are really scared.
And I'll say we have a pretty good alumni of women that have worked at Primetime Sports Talk. I mean, Jill Guerin was working there when I first got there. I don't know if you guys ever really met her. Jaclyn, you might know her.
I met her once, but it wasn't in a radio.
She then became the third ever female broadcaster in minor league history. I think she's doing the fall league now. I mean, she's doing fantastic. Hannah Brewitt, the Brew Crew, our other co-host from back in the day. She's now at CNN doing sports. So we're launching people off. It's great.
Yeah, and extending other people who have appeared on the shows in the past years: Davis, Sean, Pat, I guess Sam, Nate, and Jack. But they had their own shows. This was mainly for our shows. We had those people. We had Jeff, obviously, Alex for making the intros. Even though I still have yet to meet him, and he's made me 2 intros now. And
He's
then,
a good guy. I only met him
actually,
a couple
you know what
times,
I put as my other final moment is Jaclyn singing the outro every time that we
I'll
used
do
to
it
have.
this time.
That was the
I'll
last
do
one.
it tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, we have to.
That's fine. All right, so
You can include the normal one too, but we gotta have a singing outro.
yeah, duh. All right, so for Jordan, Kyle, and Jaclyn, signing off for a while. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
It's the last episode for a while, and we're kind of sad about it, so I'm just gonna keep singing a little bit to make everyone laugh for a little longer, but I think I gotta go now. Bye.
Mrs. Obama, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
See ya.